So I mean, based on that, I think it's pretty obvious, even when you look at Sri Lanka's history, left movements, workers' movements, people's movements have been major drivers of change in Sri Lanka societal change, etc. Now, how do you find the current liberal climate within Colombo and contrast that with the worker movements that you grew up in and the people's struggles that you had in the 80s to now and this current Aragalaya? How do you see the contrast, and do you think, if I may put it this way, do you think we have the stomach to go forward with this?
Okay, so I will look at the Aragalaya. I give my perspective on this. I never thought I'll see this Kusum in my lifetime. So this has been a unique experience given my background. Even though I come from a background of struggles, this has been very unique because it has brought together a wide range of our people, including what you are calling the liberals. I would not be so quick to judge people and put labels on them, because that's a bit of a dangerous route to go on, because then you start, and you're a liberal. So I'm looking at people with different backgrounds. So now they came in as a part of this movement, all came together because I think for the first time the country, the state of the affairs in this country is so dismal that it has affected the middle class, the upper middle class even, right down to the poor, because the country has been brought to bankruptcy. Now you and I know what the meaning of the word bankrupt. Sinhala we say bankalo, very powerful word, bankalo. You have nothing left. That's what they have brought us to. So this struggle is a response to this massive, they laid waste to the land. And it is a response to this because it's affecting everybody. So they had thought enough of this and they got onto the streets. Mind you, this was not led by trade unions or anything.
No, of course not.
Ordinary people came onto the streets, lit candles, and that grew. Then they had a protest in Miriana. Then they had ordinary people standing in crowds at Nelum Pokuna.
Yes.
Farmers, meanwhile, had come out with their miserable, carrots and all that, because of this organic fertilizer nonsense that was not based on any data. So this was happening. Can you see the types of people? And in Nelum Pokuna, there were also people in cars who were still shouting slogans. Somebody can call them hypocrites, but their heart was in it. So you see, it affected a large range of our people. So that's how it started. Now, and we held it together. Now I see two aspects to this Aragalaya. One, the struggle or the movement. One is the protest Aragalaya.
Right. Okay.
We are against these people who are in power.
Okay.
We want them out. Accountability, throw them out. Not one of them should remain in power. That's one. But the other side, Kusum, that I'm seeing is the Aragalaya that's going on in Gotagam and other places where they're talking about a different future. So it's not only protest and object and throw out. They're also looking at what do we build in its place. That's new. Just yesterday I went to Gotagam. It's a full-on discussion, 50 people. They've put a slide, they've collected proposals, and they've come up with many. In fact, I have it there in my bag. I should have brought it here. Proposals for a different constitution. And they're putting it up on the projector. Point by point they're going through, people are objecting, discussing. Now, for the first time, you're seeing a direct participation of the people in constitution making. That's the other side of the Aragalaya. A lot of people. Direct democracy, you're right. Participatory democracy, direct democracy. Otherwise, constitution written by some lawyer. What does he know about the mood of the people? Because the constitution, after all, is supposed to reflect the needs of the people of that time. So, this is really inspiring good work. There are forces at play. We'll come to that later. Maybe you might have a question or two on what has happened.
No, I'd like to discuss that actually. This might be a good juncture to discuss.
So let me quickly finish this. So my point is that there are these two aspects. So we must be very aware of these two. Right. Now, is the Aragalaya waning? It's very difficult to sustain people's movement consistently because people have to go to work. And now some people say, Peter, I'd like to come to some of the protests, but it cost me 2,000 rupees to come and go in a tuk-tuk. Yesterday the fares went up again. How can people come, Kusum? And they're standing. I stood in a queue for 20 hours, no petrol, another 17 hours, 37 hours. So my work in the protest or anything or constitution making or future, it's affected. So you see, it's very difficult, but I still feel that the problems are there. And they're going to get worse.
They're getting worse. Yeah.
They're getting worse. Now, since Ranil came, we can talk about that later. The queues have got longer.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think the Aragalaya is going to die, the people's movement, but there are people who need to sustain it. When there is a wane, there are others who need to come forward. Now, the 50th day is coming up on Saturday. There's a resurgence. They're saying 50 not out. That's the artists of the protest movement. I'm part of that. They're going to come up with a slogan saying 50 not out. That means we're still there. You faced a few odd balls, bumpers, all that. We can use a cricketing jargon. 50 not out. Game has to be won. We are on the field. So interesting analogy. So I don't think so. I don't think so.